Hello, everyone. Thank you for checking out this special episode of Really Dicey. This is Manny, and I am here with.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amit. I'm the founder of Son of O Games and the creator of City of Mist role-playing game, as well as all the other spin-offs, one of which we're here to talk about today.
Yes, Legend in the Mist. When I heard about this, I knew I had to reach out to you. City of Mist is something on my list right now to talk about eventually in the future. And when I
Mm.
heard about this product coming out, I was like, you know what? Let me just jump right up ahead and talk to you right away because this sounds like a really exciting project. So, anyone hearing about this for the first time, they may be fans of City of Mist. What is Legend in the Mist?
So Legend in the Mist, we're branding it a rustic fantasy RPG. What it is it's going to be a narrative role-playing game similar in mechanics to City of Mist, where you'll be using, just like in City of Mist, you'll be using a character sheet that's made out of descriptors called tags rather than stats. So it's a game that's connects very tightly between narrative and story and character backstory and the actual gameplay. So your details are always something that you can invoke in play to get bonuses for your rolls. And there's very little stats outside of it. So it's actually a system that we've created that ties very closely between story and gameplay. And Legend in the Mist is going to be our first fantasy RPG. We're taking this engine that has worked so well in other games, City of Mist, Otherscape, which is a cyberpunk game that we're about to release, Queers, which is another Super Sentai game that we've released. All of these games are using the same engine, and Legend in the Mist is going to be the first time we're going to be bringing it to the fantasy genre, and we're really excited about it. We have big plans on how to touch that feeling of a legend that is kind of what everybody's trying to get to with role-playing games, but kind of hit from different directions and get stuck with mechanics and all these things. So for the people who really love the feeling of a fantasy story, this is going to be the game for you guys.
If I may ask, how did this idea come about?
So I've been working on this game for actually quite a long time, and we always knew that it would be a part of the natural progression of things. But we really wanted to kind of perfect, in a way, the engine. So with City of Mist, it was the first debut of the engine. The engine was very much adapted to that superhero noir legendary powers in a modern day city. And with Otherscape and the other games, we've kind of started turning the engine into something we can use in different genres. And in Legend in the Mist, we've finally hit that point where we felt that both in art and in style and in mechanics, we have something that we can put out there that is actually different from yet another fantasy role-playing game. So it was the right time.
What is the overall story for this setting? And I believe there's also a setting book that's going to be a companion piece to it as well.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to be releasing both a core book and a setting book. The core book will give you the full system in a way that you can use it in any setting that you like. If there's a setting that you really love and you want to take it to a more narrative place, then you'll be able to use this core engine and rules. But we will be releasing another setting called Hearts of Ravensdale. That's an original setting that is very rustic, as one of the playtesters called it, and we kind of absorbed that word. It's really about going back to the roots of unlikely heroes in a rural community in the mountains that are called to go on a journey, and focusing on things like fireside conversations, journeying through unknown lands. Initially you kind of start a little bit more in a rural setting, and then you go out to a world that is very much unknown to those characters. So it's a kind of an antidote to the hyper high magic settings that we're all used to, and that are totally devoid of mystery in a way, because it's all like, sure, I know what spell this person just cast. So think about the exact opposite. You don't even know what magic is. You don't know what how things work. You don't know what monsters are, or it's not like you know exactly what to do, or there is a guide for each and every monster in the universe. It's very much a mysterious and eerie exploration experience of what is this place? Where am I? What is going on here? What are these forces at play? and um, and even people who practice magic, players who practice magic, we're going to be building that experience through the discovery of magic as well.
It sounds like this is a sort of a like a combination of Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy, Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest. Is that the vibe you're going for?
I have to say that these are actually not exactly the Legend of Zelda has some elements to it. I think that we're really going for those epics that start on very low fantasy and end very very can end very in a very epic way, but without the heroes necessarily becoming the most powerful beings in the universe. I'll talk a little bit about power levels because we actually have a very interesting feature that allows you to have characters of varying power levels in the same party. But generally, the influences that I'm looking at are things like obviously the Lord of the Rings, which is kind of tricky to say because there are many things that we're not going to try and recreate. It's not going to be, the exact same fantasy mold, but that feeling that the heroes are very small people who are starting out in a big world is definitely going to be there. In exploration, Tolkien is known in describing the natural world around the heroes, but also things like, for example, Princess Mononoke. If you know this Miyazaki movie, where the hero is kind of called out from a little village in the mountains by a supernatural event um, to go on a journey. So there's definitely an epic element to it, but it's very low magic, low starting out in a rural setting. Yeah.
What can someone be in this world?
As I said before, a party we the system, because it's based on, and this is also in City of Mist, because it's based on our unique narrative engine, actually supports PCs of varying power levels. So in City of Mist, you can have someone starting that just beginning to discover their abilities and being very much more towards the ordinary, side by side with someone who's basically a demigod. And the way it's balanced in the system is that tags or descriptors have narrative power as opposed to absolute power. And I always give the comparison of who's more instrumental in The Lord of the Rings, Frodo or Gandalf. And who changed the story more, Frodo or Gandalf? And, they each have their own powers. Frodo's powers are inside, right? And in City of Mist, and in the engine for Legend in the Mist, you can actually gamify those abilities, those feelings, those personal qualities at the same level of effect that a big spell could have, or being, a Maiar could have. It's the same level of effect. I mean, it's the same level of ability to influence the story. And this allows us to have characters from all kinds of power levels. But initially, I think the core of the characters that people will be playing are really different types of villagers or people who live in the Dales, the community of the Dales, which is at the center of this. And some of them have some inkling of what is going on beyond the Dales. Some, like the Wise One, which is a character that is a little bit more savvy, a little bit more of a hedge magic practitioner. They don't really practice magic, but they know of things. And some characters are completely starting out as mundane, but they have their own tension. For example, one of the sample characters is the Red Marshal. It's a young person who is a part of the scouting force of the Dales, and they have high hopes and they're thinking of adventures and they're rash, but they don't really know what they're up against. And that's kind of their main, downfall, could be potentially. And then you could have someone like another character that we have, the apple picker, who's kind of a little rascal that can, can cause a lot of trouble for everyone, but kind of shows up at the right moment at the right time, and takes their role in the party. So a lot of very colorful characters, some of them mundane, some of them hedge magic practitioners, not a lot of overt magic. You're really starting out with the hearts of these characters and then discovering things as you go out.
So one thing about fantasy role-playing games is that people love bestiaries. They love these imaginative fantasy creatures. Um, does the Legend of Mist have a section for monsters?
Yes, absolutely. So the world of Legend and the Mist is populated by creatures that humans call creatures of twilight as a very broad category. Actually, humans don't understand what's going on in that category, and they don't understand how one thing is created from the kind of like effects of magic, whereas another being is a very, very conscious and powerful being, almost like an angel. And so really what the humans see is just all these um spirits and creatures and deceivers, and we're taking that, kind of like from their perspective. So definitely Legend of the Mist will have a bestiary with these creatures, and the emphasis will be on um kind of like eerie creatures, mysterious creatures, some of them monstrous, but we're not looking, everybody's done, goblins, right? I mean, we know what they are. We've seen them. It's not the same as we first encountered them when we read about them in the fantasy books of our childhood. We're trying to recreate that feeling by introducing something that we don't really know, or that is a little bit different and a little bit mysterious about what is the nature of it, so that our brains as players don't go immediately to, oh, I know what this is, boom, no sense of wonder. We're really looking to recreate that sense of wonder for everyone. So, um, you know, for example, there's a character that kind of attacks the village in one of the first potential scenarios. And right now we're calling it the Wakened Sentry. And we don't know exactly why this person has been awoken or what he is. His face is kind of looks like darkened wood that's been twisted, and there are things there to discover. And as we hope to have with all the characters, all the monsters and all the adversaries in the bestiary, there will be something like a little bit of a mystery and a discovery.
Hmm. So I know this is coming out on Kickstarter very shortly. What are your, I guess you could say, your stretch goals, your plans for that exactly?
So we really want to expand as much as we can the setting. That's first and foremost. We want to add up to six. I think we're going to go up to about six little adventures that tie up into a story arc, and we can obviously add more story arcs. So you start from the community of the Dales, but you can actually go in different directions, and each direction, compass direction almost, has a completely different story arc to explore, and they all kind of add together. And also there's a lot of content within the Dales. The Dales isn't just like a launching pad. It is actually a place that has a lot of magic in it, and very specific type of magic that can be discovered by the players. So we really want to build the setting as much as possible. We obviously want to find as much art as we can. We have art from the amazing Mexican illustrator Danielle Pinal, which I have had the pleasure of working with for the last year or so. We're having a great time creating art for this game. Yeah, so these are the main things we're going to look at. I mean, ideally, if we can break through, really, we would love to do, potentially a monsters book, like a whole book just about the creatures of places like the Wanderlands and areas like outside of the Dales. And we could also potentially expand beyond that, but let's see how it goes.
Hmm. So City of Mist has a phenomenal design, and not just the art, just the way it's everything is put together. Um,
Thank you.
is Legend in the Mist similar, and will be similar in the aspect of design style? Is it going to go in a different direction? What are your plans so far?
No, absolutely. This is our calling card. This is what we do. I love crafting. This is my thing, and I love working with people who are, really good crafters. And I've been blessed really to work with top-notch people. Manuel Serra Saez is the designer of City of Mist. He's been amazing. He's designing now Otherscape. We also have some other companies that we work with. Yeah, I mean, definitely. You can already see it a little bit in the art and the logo, but we're going to roll out more examples of how we're going to bring that high-end graphic design and vision, artistic vision that we had in City of Mist into that kind of rustic fantasy feeling that we want to have for Legend of the Mist, and it's a huge part of it, right? Because you're inspired by the images. You see an image and you're like, "Oh, I get it. I'm there. I feel it." Right? So we talk a lot about what images make people feel. We do a lot of that in the studio. So it's an essential part of delivering a good role playing game in my mind. So absolutely, that's going to be the same here.
Now, I'm sure City of Mist fans are going to ask this question many times to you, but is there a way to combine both the City of Mist and Legend of Mist worlds together? Suppose, for example, someone in City of Mist has time travel powers or time and space abilities, and is the games made to be a bit separate or to work together?
Yeah, so there's a couple of answers to that. First of all, system-wise, this new iteration of the engine that we created for Otherscape, which is a cyberpunk game, a mythic cyberpunk game that can be very easily connected with City of Mist, and that's coming out hopefully next month digitally. This new iteration of the engine is backwards compatible to City of Mist, so you can play, and it's going to be used again in Legend in the Mist. And of course, we'll have a lot of adaptations for the fantasy genre. We're not copying really anything over that doesn't really work. We're recreating things that will create the feelings that we want there. But it is backwards compatible. So all of these games use the same rules, and you can play characters from these games across all of our universes with no major adaptation needed. So that's like on the mechanics baseline. In terms of the universes, they kind of stand connected yet apart. If City of Mist is a mysterious city, nobody knows where it is, where it exists. Otherscape is definitely happening in our world in some dystopian imaginary future. So places like Tokyo Otherscape, which is our first setting book for Otherscape, that's really based on Japanese culture and on Tokyo, real world Tokyo and Japan. And both of these settings talk about the emergence of mythical forces into modern day settings or future settings. Legend in the Mist is really taking a step away from that because we want to focus on the feeling of of a tale, of a fireside tale, and we don't want to have any kind of cosmological influences coming from those places. Having said that, there is an element kind of at the end of a story arc or at the deepest secrets of Legend in the Mist that will allow kind of a point of contact for the die-hard fans that really want to connect all these universes together.
Hmm.
So it's there, it's possible, but very much optional.
So it sounds like character creation is very, very fluid. Is if you don't mind sharing examples of maybe characters you've created or seen other your team play tested, can you share some examples of something some of the characters your team has made to just kind of showcase the strength of the system?
One guy on our team created Chef from Barleytown, which is the main town in the Dales, who walks around with a big hog and their main set of abilities is there's two set of abilities. It's really an interesting support social character that is very good at finding and concocting ingredients, but at the same time, they have a very specific skill set of um, so very powerful social powerhouse. Like he can do a lot on the social front by serving other people food, good food. So this is like this is something that I've always wanted to promote in games where the mundane is not mundane. There is nothing mundane about the mundane, and you know it's magical. It's also not scary. We had in our last City of Mist Kickstarter, we had a category, local legends. We had a category of adversaries called Fear the Ordinary, where like you can have encounters that are very dangerous to the group that are actually just ordinary things, like um, like a diva or a drama queen or something like that, or you could have like a dance off. Okay, there's no magic, but it's just a dance off between two characters or things like that. Um, so the same in Legend in the Mist. These are some of the characters you can do. You can really take the mundane all the way. I really like the wise one, which is the character that is a kind of lives on um, the border of the dales, an old lady or an old man. We actually have multiple arts for these characters, so you can tweak them to your needs and desires. And this character in the iteration of the old lady is um, she's a hedge practitioner. She has some kind of, you know, abilities to banish certain spirits and things like that. But she doesn't really know what she's doing. Like she's got rituals from her ancestors. She has no idea, and she's kind of the last person who knows these rituals. And that also, her story is really connected to the story of the Dales and what's about to happen in the Dales when these rituals are lost. So you can really tie characters and motivations and story arcs to bigger things. You can keep them focused. You can make them magical. You can make them mundane, and we're having a lot of fun with that. Absolutely, with character creation because it's so open ended.
Wow, excellent. I know time is running short. Is there any last words, anything you want to say about your project before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think one more thing that really makes this project different is the City of Mist's engine has the ability to for characters to transform during play. Actually, each one of your power sets or abilities has a motivation, and they're sometimes conflicting. And if you kind of let go of a motivation for long enough, you could have an event called replacing a theme, where a part of your life ends and a part of your life begins. And you actually lose abilities and gain a new set of abilities. So this could be like a character changing class or a character completing a major story arc and coming out with a new set of of abilities. A character that is kind of like saying goodbye to a part of themselves and opening up to something new. And this is a major feature of our engine. People love it in City of Mist. It really makes the storytelling so much more alive and so much more baked into the game. And we're really excited about what it's going to be in Legend in the Mist, because in City of Mist, it's a balance between ordinary and legendary. And I think in Legend in the Mist, it will be a balance between your origin and your greatness. So there is something that's pulling you, a destiny that's pulling you to become great. But how much of your origin are you willing to sacrifice for it as you're kind of replacing origin themes for maybe more adventurous or themes of greatness? So that's one of the things we're going to be exploring.
This sounds really exciting. I wish you and your team the best and success in your Kickstarter for this.
Thank you, Manny.
So viewers, I will put a link in the description below of the Kickstarter so you can go check it out and support it. And yes, thank you all for watching. Stay safe out there. Be warm. We'll see you next time.